such a long event. This is Albert BALDEO, your community and district leader and head of the diaspora over here. I'm trying to put together at least three simultaneous broadcasts at the same time so I could capture a wider audience. Because of my knowledge of Guyana law and what's going on in Guyana, we have other issues to discuss also. The death of one of our own, Angela Sarah Rampersaud, very beautiful young lady who died in the military service, made the greatest sacrifice for our country. And Sarah died and was buried today. Proud moment for us, for those who think that Indo-Caribbeans, West Indians, and Guyanese do not contribute to this country. That is certainly a rebuttal that we are part and parcel of everything that goes on here, and that we are very much involved in the context of Guyana and in ensuring that we do our best to help this country and to serve it. So those who have a misconception that Guyanese come here only to and West Indians and Caribbean people and people from Trinidad only come here to make themselves better and not serve this country and are very selfish. That's wrong, because our children have died, our people have died for this great country, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because if they tell you otherwise, they are lying to you. We have made an indelible mark in this country, and I'm going live on YouTube also. I don't know how this will go, but let's see how far we can get with this and try to get some sort of discussion going on, some kind of edification has been trying to do with you on these topical issues. So let's start out. I think I am on Facebook. And I think we are also on YouTube, but I want to also make sure that we were also on another forum. As you guys join, I'll try and get that going. Probably the Facebook should be done because you have YouTube. Let me try to get Facebook since I already have that. Anyone seeing me on TikTok? Just say, I'm seeing you on TikTok, Albert. I'm seeing you on TikTok. So that way I know I have you on there. And now we try to get you on. Are you seeing me on TikTok, please? Please let me know. Because I want to get as much out of this as possible for the folks out there without having to repeat myself. So please indicate to me that you're seeing me on TikTok. And now I'm going to see if you're seeing me on Facebook. So let's get this Facebook going. Trying to do a lot of things here at the same time. Bear with me. Trying to get this live going here on Facebook. Live. Next. Okay. Retakes. Okay, let's go live now on Facebook also, Albert BALDEO. You can go to Albert BALDEO on Facebook and see me there. You can also go on TikTok and see me there. And you can always see me simultaneously on YouTube. Now let's go to today what happened. Today we buried our daughter and our great sister, Angela Sarah Rampersaud, a Trinidadian 28-year-old who died in the service of this great nation. She joined the army at 21 years old, went on a number of tours. On this last tour in Jordan, she did not come back alive. She was killed in the service and in sacrifice to make America safe. We bleed with our family. We are prayerful. We think a lot about the love that she has for this great country, unsurpassed, unrivaled, matched any patriotism in the world. We are proud of her, and we thank her for the service she has given to her country to keep America safe. The issue of whether these wars are necessary has inevitably come up. Many have criticized, why are we in these wars? What is in this for us? Why are we sacrificing our children in needless wars? They are legitimate questions, and we will address that at another forum. Suffice it to say, at this point in time, we thank our sister for setting the bar very high, for letting those who look down upon us as immigrants and those of people of color and who feel that we don't belong here. Sarah Rampersaud emphasized to the world that we are as great as any other American, that we are the true Americans, that we are patriotic Americans, that we love our country, that we pay taxes in this country, that we stand up and fight for America's freedoms, that we fight to preserve that which has been won over centuries. And by that token, she has made us very, very proud. And we thank you very much. Staff Sergeant. She was posthumously promoted to Staff Sergeant from Sergeant. 28 years old, lives in Ozone Park. I was at a wake. I was at a funeral. Thank God for her. May God bless her soul. May the Almighty have mercy upon all of us. May the Almighty have mercy on those who send their children to war also when they die. And don't come back, or come back in a casket. And as you know, at the Air Force Base, President Trump was there to welcome the family, to pay tribute to them. And I want every American to know, whether you're white, brown, black, blue, or yellow, or whatever color you may be, we have earned the right to be treated fairly as Americans, just as everybody else. We have earned that right. We have worked for that right. Our children have fought for America. They have died in these wars. And by that token, by that sacrifice, we also belong. And we don't want anybody to tell us that we don't belong, because that is not going to work. We're not going to take that anymore. And we're not going to allow that to continue. We deserve as much credit, as much gratitude, and as much thank you from top to bottom in America. And never let anybody put you down, because the sacrifices have been made by our children, by our neighbors, by our nieces, by our nephews, by all of us. So we stand proudly and always stand as Americans. Proud Americans. Too often you put yourself down. Too often you feel inferior. Too often you don't even go out to vote. Too often you don't even support your own. Brothers and sisters, that is the reason why you're treated as second-class citizens. We are the only people who do not have political representation in New York City. Trinidadians and Guyanese. Everybody else got Haiti, India, Pakistan, China, Korea, all over the world. Everybody's come here and made it. But there's something about us, lots of us, that don't go out and vote. So I don't want to dwell too much on that tonight. I want to encourage you to go out and vote. Be civic-minded. Raise your voices. You have the freedom of speech here. And you must continue to do that. And God bless Sarah, Angela, or Angie, Angel, Sarah Rampersaud, who has made us proud. We grieve with the family. We offer deepest condolences to the mother who is crying and who's very, very cut up, and understandably so, as a mother who's lost her child. That we thank her, we respect her, we pay tribute to the sacrifices that her daughter has made. The greatest sacrifice known to Americans and to the world is that she has made us proud. So brothers and sisters across all these mediums that I'm broadcasting from, Albert BALDEO, the district leader and the community advocate, and the person who's been elected, the first person to be elected to office in this community here, the first Indo-Guyanese, Indo-Trinidad, Indo-Caribbean, West Indian here in New York City, put us on the map. Little India, little Guyana, little Suriname, little Bangladesh, and little Guyana. I stand proudly here to exchange and to bring news and views to you. Hopefully we've had a good dinner so we can now discuss some of the issues. Now, that's the first issue, paying tribute to Angel Sarah Rampersaud, God bless her soul. The second thing I want to talk about is I want to compliment President Ali. I want to compliment President Ali for this singular first step. The first step he said is he's going to establish a safety and compliance audit team. He's going to establish a safety and compliance audit team. And I hope he's going to do that tomorrow. As part of government's continued response measures to strengthen maritime safety and prevent further tragedies, I've established a safety and compliance audit team to undertake a comprehensive review of the safety and compliance standards governing marine vessels operating in Guyana. I also wanted to be extended, President Ali, because apparently you do listen to what I say, because I did suggest this. I want you, President Ali, to also extend it, not only maritime, but to aircrafts. Don't let anybody get a pass in aircrafts and say they're the greatest aviator in the world that ever lived a summer saying in their minds. Everybody must comply. Put the standards of them also. Put that standards of safety and compliance on all aeronautical vessels, all maritime vessels, and all ministers and cabinet of the government. You have to come to Papa. You must be able to justify your decisions. And you have to be able to show me why you made certain decisions. Okay? And that is why this team comprises of Guyanese and people versed in the field of Guyana. And I thank you very much for that, for bringing in locals. I was not happy with the commission of inquiry because it consisted only of foreigners. And we know more than them. The people in Guyana there, even the typical Amerindian or the people in Kaituman in the Antarctica and Interland, know more than these people are going to come and sit in judgment of what happened to our vehicles or what happened to the MV Barima. And we know what happened. The negligence, overcrowded, the recklessness, the lack of fitness, sailing without proper certification and inspections. We know what happened. So there's nothing that these white people can really tell us. And they're not there to charge anybody, or they're just going to recommend. God be it how long now from them, they come with 6 months from now. Oh, we recommend you have safety, we recommend you have transponders, we recommend you have life jackets, we recommend that you don't sail unless you have a fitness certificate, we recommend that you don't overload. We know all of that, President Ali. That is what they're going to come up with. They're going to enjoy the hospitality of Guyana, and they will have a good time. And they will sit in judgment of us. I think it's we need to do more, and you need to do more on this commission here. You got to now implement a safety and compliance audit to start tomorrow. You lock down all the vessels or bring them in periodically. Allow at least 4 a day to be checked, certified, test run, and make sure that they're up to standard to avoid another tragedy like this. Because if another tragedy like this happens, that's the end of your presidency, sir. I'm telling you like it is. I've been in politics longer than you, and I've been in a place where politics is much more sophisticated than in Guyana. But if your government fails and your cabinet fails, you will be out. And I'm telling you as a friend, I'm telling you as someone who wants to see you succeed. I'm telling you as a patriotic Guyanese. And I'm telling you, you've got to put these teams, implement them immediately, and have them do their work. You have a Colonel, Julius Keat. Very good. Former Director General of the Maritime Administration, MARAD. MARAD is under a lot of criticism. MARAD has to totally revamp itself. MARAD has to make sure that they comply and they lift their standards and don't just rubber stamp anything that comes before them. Because you must make them liable criminally and civilly. Let me repeat that. If the MARAD commissioners cannot stand behind their certifications and be held liable and lodge a personal bond or be assumed personal liability when they sign their terms of contract, then they can't be hired. So it's a simple thing. Put your money where your mouth is. Stand behind your work. If you're going to certify this maritime vessel or this aircraft or whatever you're going to do, your signature and your guarantee and your liability and responsibility, your money where your mouth is, must be put behind that. That's how it's done in America. That's the way people do it. You hold them accountable. Don't be afraid to do that. You want to work as maritime, even if you got to pay them more. But you have to personally guarantee that you are not doing nonsense, or you're not doing recklessness, or you're not passing negligence, or you're not being spoken to by people in a way that compromise your integrity and on what you have to get done on these boats. So spread the light, brothers and sisters. Spread the light as we go through these preliminary points. I'm thanking the President for President Ali for establishing a safety and compliance audit team. I've got to give him credit for that. You got to chew gum and walk at the same time as the President. You can't only depend on a commission to bring an end to this matter or to take charge of this matter. The whole cabinet, you've got to call them and say, all of you are involved here now. I need all of you to tell me what happened. Starting for the ministers with portfolio there, with like Minister Agil and Minister Bharat. And if you find that they're lacking and you have cause, and this is cause 100 and I forgot it, over 100 lives lost, is definitely caused by fire. Definitely over 100 lives caused due to your mismanagement, due to your lack of attention, due to your lack of reforms, due to your stupidity, so to speak. You gotta take leave. I'm reshuffling my cabinet, or I'm taking people out. Simple as that. I don't have a problem with that. We don't have a problem with that. You gotta start rolling heads. You gotta start letting people be accountable that you mean business. If you don't show you mean business and you are not up to scratch, they're not going to re-elect you. As simple as that. They're going to feel that you got something to hide. They're going to feel that you're weak, that you're covering people up. Just to cover Barima, and we're going to get to that, why this Barima ship must be brought up from the sea. We'll get to that in a few minutes, brothers and sisters. Hold your horses. Let's get to one topic one at a time. There's so many things happening, it's like, we're on a racetrack. Now, to complete what President Ali has said with his safety and compliance audit team, which I call for in the aviation and maritime vessels, the team will examine compliance with applicable maritime and aeronautical safety requirements and make recommendations to strengthen oversight, improve enforcement, and ensure that our vessels, operators, and regulatory systems meet the highest practical standards of safety and accountability. And President Ali, I want to add these words now. NOW. Joined yet? Let me see. I think you're coming on now. Remember, we don't want a personal attacks. We just want people to talk about this. We're now trying to go across. I'm trying to get Harbhajan on the YouTube or on Facebook, and I'm trying to get you now, Veronica Vivian, the co-host. Have you pressed there, Veronica? Anyway, you can probably dial in back and let's see if you can get you on here. But share the live as we continue to talk on these issues. And as I try to get Harbhajan, I don't know if he's available. I would like to hear from a member of parliament indeed. That would be very interesting. Harbhajan, I'm trying to get you in on TikTok or which is this Facebook. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but you had called just now. Call again and I'll put you in. Approve. Send request. Bring them on video. Rick, you want to join too? I don't know. I see you're coming up here. Rick Etwaru. Very prominent real estate broker in this community. I don't know if you want to come in. You can ask me. Okay. So as we wait on folks to join and to come forward, and I'm not seeing my good friend who's been asking me all day when we're going to speak again, or the, what's her name? Yes, she was here last night and we had a very good conversation. So, the issue here is about lifting that boat. You cannot keep a boat there and say, oh, we have a shrine 12 miles out in the Atlantic Ocean. Government apparently that connection failed. I don't know why. Let me try again. Or if you can come in on TikTok. Let's see. Approve. Send request. I'm sending request to you. You have to approve, accept my request. So it's adding you now, Goben. Let's see if you're able to come on. It says adding you. And like I said, Gobind Harbajan is a member of parliament. Very nice man, very open-minded man, very down-to-earth man. And he calls it as it is. I would like to speak to anybody who wants to come on here, especially if you have something to do with this administratively, politically. You're in the decision making, you're in parliament, you're in the courts. You have some kind of basis here on which to, you know, on which to talk or exchange ideas, and let us talk about this. Um, so let's give some time for him. But the connection says it's failed again, Harvard. And I don't know if you could come in from YouTube or if you can come in from Instagram. I have all three open. I don't know if this is causing the Wi-Fi to get weaker or whatever, but I can't do this 3-4 times. You know, it's hard. And I have many other things to remember. I am a community leader here. We have the death of a Trinidadian woman who represented us and made us proud. We have issues here that we're fighting for. We have representation that's not been given to us. And a panel discussion about shrine debate. Suggest a guest to join the talk. But let me suggest the champ. Is he there? Hi, Gobin. How are you?
Good. Sending you a request is you have separate.
Oh, you sent me a what on YouTube?
Right on your line.
I know, but which line? Because I have all three on YouTube, or so share the live in the meantime, as we have some other guests coming on that can shed some light on this. I'm going to ask someone in the meantime here. The Apostle, he wants to come on. As I said, Apostle, this is only for this Barima tragedy and issues on how we can help our community, um, you know, and that is what we're dealing with here now. So, as we were talking about, we have to bring up the vessel. There's no other consideration whereby in civilized society we can allow those people to become shark food in the middle of the ocean, 12 miles out, fail to give them a decent burial, fail to actually ascertain who these people are. The people have said, even if you give me a bone to bury, and it's my family, and I can understand with that, and I sympathize with that. Even if you give me a bone, even if you give me a shoe, even if you give me a tooth, is my family, is my blood. I want it. I want to bury it. I want to have it be part of me. Whether you got to cremate it and have ashes, yes, they want it. So share the life, brothers and sisters. We got to get back to brass tacks here. Basic decency. We never, in the Marines, in the American philosophy here of military training, the Marines here never left anybody behind. Let's say they're fighting in, let's say, Baghdad or whichever part of the world, and the Marines too, and the soldiers, American soldiers. Even if somebody is dead or wounded mortally and is dying, they bring that body with them. They never leave it back. Never leave it for people to feast on it, to parade over it, to mock over it, to burn it, to scandalize it, to give it to vultures. No American does that. And that is a lesson for the world, that these people's lives matter, that they have a home, that we are bringing them home, and that they belong here. And that is why we have got to be able to do the same thing here. Do the same thing in a way that we can be, and we can make sure that those people come home. I think, Harvard, you should try to come in on, why don't you try to come in on TikTok? Anyway, I'm going to invite someone, Fanny Douglas, who is a good friend of mine from Georgia. I'm going to invite her to come in. She was very helpful. And Apostle, let me accept you. And Apostle, I'm accepting you, and you're just not joining. I don't know. You got to be able to join and connect up. Okay, I'm doing it again. I'm following you, and I'm inviting you to come in. I don't just do blind stuff like that, but I hope that it's relation to the Barima, or I'll have to cut off anybody that's not, observing the protocol of discussing the topic that we're on, and that is about the Guyana Barima tragedy. We had over 200,000 watchers last night, and that's why I came back here today. Apostle, it seems that a few are chosen because I'm telling you to come in, and I'm still not getting you to come in. So, yes, I'm serious. I was telling you to come in and join the discussion on Barima, but I guess there's a situation where many are called, but few are chosen. So I'm sorry that you didn't pick that up. Let me get back to my good friend and a person worthy of that, the funny Douglas. But her real name, and I don't mean to insult anybody, that's what she goes as. But it's a good friend of mine. She's always been helpful. Yes, Apostle, I know that you were chosen, brother, but I was actually to come on the live just now. Let me disconnect you. It doesn't seem as if you're ready. You always have to be ready. And let me try to get back this person who was discussing a lot of good things. Anik Prasad. Oh, let me ask Shondell Braffett. Let me see. Oh, can we broadcast at this time? Okay. There's a lot of people here, a lot of names. As I said, I hope Harbajan, you should try to come in as on my TikTok, and that way I can put you on, or the YouTube. I don't know. I see two people there waiting on there. Let's see if your connection is unstable. I guess I've got to be able to master this at some time. So let's continue our discussion whilst we await him coming on back. So as much as we have a high-level committee by Justice Godfrey Phillip from Belize, Captain Hamada Fauda from Jamaica, you have Nairi Dawn Alfonso Trinidad and Tobago, an Admiralty and Maritime Law attorney. Dr. Jason Whiskey of Poland. He's a naval architect and marine engineer. Very good. And the Rear Admiral retired Hayden Pritchard of Trinidad and Tobago. These are outstanding people, but the issue here is that what more can they tell us that we don't already know? And they have a principle in law that anything that stares you in the eye, anything that is prima facie there, anything that is obvious to you, the court can take judicial notice of. Meaning that you don't have to go in a big long investigation. You don't have to go into a moot conversation. You don't have to go into a moot investigation when you already know that the answers have been given to you. That this boat sank because of its age, the lack of maintenance, lack of fitness, weight, lack of all these holes in it. I understand that some high person also had some very, very heavy equipment in it, and they were to such a level that they can tell the captain, if the captain said, no, we're going to all die, we're going to sink, he can say, no, my stuff has to go, my tractor, my my combine harvester, whatever it is has to go on this boat, then that person the captain can't say no. He has to shut his mouth and sail the boat. Mind you, the person who's saying that is not in the boat He just drive up in his fancy car there or 4x4 and give the instructions and do what you got to do and so and so. And he gone off, and then over 100 people are left to die or to meet their fate. And all he lose is his mechanical equipment that went down the drain. Mightn't even be even his own. Must he take it from some cricket ground or some other ministry and put it there to borrow it, and that's how, there's no accountability. Well, if that was the case, and that was the thing, perhaps the director of public prosecutions have got to investigate from that level. Well, what's going on? What's going on? What role you played? And if you are an aided and abetted to murdering these people by overloading the boat, then you got to get a murder charge too. Because the principle of complicity and the principle that you are equally liable to commit a murder, you don't have to have the murder weapon. As long as you're culpable and you force the captain to accept your contraband or your cricket pitch, the rollers. As long as you force the captain to put your rollers on the boat, which you might have taken from some other ministry, and use it for your own expedition or your own enterprise, wherever in Kaitum or wherever in the hinterland. And that is why there should be an open disclosure of who owned what in Guyana. All the lands. How has been ownership transferred to, and who owns it now? You need an up-to-date thing, because that could shed some light on what's going on as where assets are distributed. You call it a forensic audit. It's very simple. You got a lot of big fancy accountants in Guyana, and they need to come to the table and get them to do a forensic report of all the assets and who and what and how they are owned and what type of ownership. Is it a straw company? Is it held in a lease? Is it held in somebody else's name? Is it held in some kind of offshore account or name or shell company? You need to disclose all that. That is what happens in America. So when you get this kind of information and you get this kind of thorough examination of the public record, then you're able to make an informed decision as to where Guyana stands with its economy. Where is its money going? Who is liable for what? What should you do? And how we should get these things operated. That is how these things are done. So you shouldn't be afraid of audits. That happens all over the world. It happens in America. It happens in Queens. It happens in a lot of places where there's democracy. Because that is how things are done. That is how they're supposed to be done. They're not things done in a way that people can do what they want in a free-for-all, as if that is their parents' land given to them. The people of Guyana deserve the land. The people of Guyana own the land collectively. This is not the domain or the personal realty or property of somebody in a higher place. This is about it being owned by everybody. And that is why it has to be done in a way where they can have it accounted for. And they must call for an accounting, because this has opened up a can of worms as to who owns what, where they own it, how is it owned, and how is our assets distributed in Guyana. I, as a Guyanese, would like to know. I, who have my navel string buried in Guyana, I would like to know. So that doesn't mean that I don't have the prerogative to do that. Perhaps I'll have to file a Freedom of Information Act before the court or the International Court of Justice for proper disclosure of these things. But what I'm saying, there must be a commission whereby people come out. You see in America, when we run for office here, you have to come out and say what you have. You know why they do that? It's called the conflict of interest rules. They want to see if you own ABC, that 1 year after you don't own A, B, C, D, E, and land in Florida and this and that and chocolate factory and all these kinds of things and farm. It just doesn't add up. The math does not add up. That is what the conflict of interest is for. And that is why civilized societies have political and legal accountability. And nothing is wrong if you have a side business and you're doing it. Nothing is wrong with that. As long as it's done in a way that you can show where the money comes from. What is the source and origin of the funds? And if you're making profits and you can buy something 5 times more, then God bless you. But sometimes you have to show it. If it's real estate, you got to show how this thing went up, the property. How you buy it for $10 and now it's worth $100? Perhaps there was a massive increase in the value of real estate. All these are possibilities. But the thing is, there must be more transparency and there must be more accountability by everyone in government, whether you're on the opposition, whether you're in government, whether you're, permanent secretary, whether you're a mayor, I don't know use the word mayor, but in whatever way that you're doing it, you understand? That has to be done. So, Onik, I'm trying to get you on. Where are you coming in on? Can you come in on face on like last night TikTok? Yes, do the audio TikTok. That's fine. I'm trying to get Gobin. I don't know why Gobin is not trying to join me on TikTok. Because a lot of people are on this now. It's like over 2,000 people looking right now. And I'm trying to get somebody who can shed some light and have a discussion with them. To find out what's going on. Sometimes it's good to be patient because these are very, very important issues. And there's a lot of people looking at it. Their negligence has caused fatal harms. Yes, people are upset about the negligence. People don't like that, and rightly so. And I understand that. And it is something that we have to accept. That it is something there. Let me add you then. Well, I'm trying to locate you. There's so many people on this live here now. Destiny, Dave, blessed her. Where are the harbor masters at all ports? Very good question. Where are the harbor masters? Well, I'm in America and you are probably in Guyana, so you tell me. You tell me, because the harbor masters are supposed to be, or the minister must tell us now, Mr. Edgil. He should. That's probably his portfolio, or what's the name of the other one there? Bharat. I don't remember these people's names sometimes. Where are the harbor masters? The president is called right now for this commission, right, on safety and accountability and transparency and safety and compliance audit. So part of that audit must be where the harbor masters. We need to see where the harbor masters are and how we're going to get them on board. That is the problem. And therefore, this is a complete revamping and rehauling of everything that has to be done. And therefore, they must be accounted for. That is how things are done properly. That is how you have to make sure that you bring all the missing parts in. And if there's somebody to check, like some wharf master or some other person who can verify that these boats, more than one person, to verify that the boat can sail or can set to sea, then, or an aircraft before it comes off the ground. Don't let's forget aircraft in this. There's nobody immune because they're politically connected from answering to the people. I almost died in an aircraft in Guyana when I was a magistrate. So that thought has left with me that I would have died and nobody would have given a rat's, cheese about who died or who lived. So then let's forget that aircrafts and Guyana's terrain and all that jungle that we have and those rivers is above reproach. Nobody's like Caesar's wife here. The greatest so-called, who would a name in there, I forgot some of them here and there now. These people who feel that they're above muster and above the law, they must also prove the fitness of their aircrafts. All those aircraft fleets, including the government. All the aircraft fleets, I call on that. Going to Latam, going to Bartica, going to wherever you're going, you must make sure that all those are complied with. And that is what is a very important thing that has to be complied with. There's no substitute for that. No substitute. And as I'm talking about that, I also want to touch on the fact that there's too many on the hand dealings with transportation. You got to put it computerized. You got to be able to check who signed off on this, who made this entry, who signed off on this goods, who this thing belonged to. Suppose somebody had a bomb now and put it on an aircraft or on that ship. What nexus or what link do we have to tie that person who put that bag in there? I'm just telling you, these are things you have to consider. In America here, if you see a bag, you got to call 1-800-SAFE. 1-800-SAFE. Because that will alert the police and they will come and they'll bring the bomb squad and get rid of that ominous and dangerous looking bag. And that's the right policy. In these days, where towers worth billions are brought down by bombing and such kind of activities, Guyana's got to pull up its straps. It's international. We're no longer no third world country. We are rising. We're the world's greatest and fastest growing economy. Be proud of that, but maintain it. Don't settle for second class. We're going to eat kush all the time. We're going to be second class citizens. We're going to grow up poor. I grew up in that situation. I had to become a lawyer to get out of poverty and better hope. And thank God my father and mother and they made the sacrifices for me. What is wrong with the Guyanese spirit? What is wrong with you people? This is our opportunity. You like people spitting on you, kicking you? You like people putting you down? You like people judging you wrong? Judging was inferior? Apartheid-like? Stepchildren-like you're some orphan or stepchild? My brothers and sisters, I've spent my life fighting that because I came from the grassroots. I came from working class family. And I know what it is. I know what it is to be sort of like unjustly treated. And I would never stand by for the rest of my life to allow that to go on in any part of the world, especially in in the land of my birth. And that is why I'm here fighting for you to have that backbone, to have that pride, to have that national unity, to care for each other, to lift yourself up. Don't feel that somebody coming into the country because they're white, they're better than you, because they're coming from Exxon. Demand your fair share. Demand that's your country. When you come to their country, they don't give you anything. They don't give you a penny. You have to work for it. You have to earn it. And even when you earn it, they take it from you. You never belong here. You never belong in the class you're supposed to be. They will always cheat you. I've been cheated from many elections, state senator and right through. They always do that to you. Mamdani was able to break the barrier. But after the trailblazing work that we did. But that was never the case. It is only now happening. So Guyanese, Guyana belongs to you. You don't have to beg anybody to recognize you. You have to, and I see a lot of people there go up and talk as if they own the country. Somebody's talking about 150 acres of land. 150 acres of land. I can't answer that question. And somebody's saying it's an 83 years boat that we're speaking about. Yes, we're talking about 83 years boat. And why is that boat still sailing in the world's fastest growing economy and having maritime laws in effect and so forth? And why it is that we are not getting those why we're not getting those benefits. So those are some of the issues that we have to make sure we keep them on the front burner. We have to make sure we get involved. Let me tell you, when you come to another man's country, no matter how brilliant you are, no matter how much money you come with, no matter how much pride you have, no matter what pedigree you have, no matter what integrity and class you bring to another man's country, they will never ever appreciate it. You can beat them at everything and they're going to still not give you your due course. You can cream them at their own game and you show them you're brighter than them and you're better than them and actually prove it and show it. and it still will not matter to them. They're going to always put you down. So my advice to you is very simple. I've reached the top in my own country at the age of 23. I became a magistrate, I became a senior state counsel, I became a state prosecutor. Nobody had ever achieved that at the age of 25. There's all these things I did. Had your name in the law reports, won cases, be amongst the best lawyers in Guyana. Then left because of your wife's medical illnesses or issues and had to come to another country to start again. So let me tell you from the bottom of my heart and from my own experience, you will never ever be treated the same way you will be and respected and be given justice as in your own country. I've had bogus charges tossed at me. I've had made up charges never brought against anybody thrown at me. I had to defeat them and spend money and resources and go through some very sleepless nights. Why you think? Because you're a bad person? No. It is because the land you're choosing to make your own will never open up to you in the spiritual and way that it's supposed to be. Nothing is ever fair. Nothing over here. You may do well. Yes, you may become successful, as I have been, sure. But you will never be given the fullness of your endeavors, the fullness of your potential, the maximum level that you should reach. You're not going to get there. You might get up to here. That is the situation that it is. And you can be like I came here and I'm one of the few lawyers to be a lawyer in 2 countries. But they will still do that to you. They will still pull you down and they will still try to disregard you. They will never want you. Look, today at the funeral, right? They called on a senator who doesn't even live in the district, Senator Dabo. He lives all the way in Howard Beach. This sergeant died in Ozone Park. Do you know they allowed him to speak there as if he belonged to Ozone Park? You know what he said? I never met this woman. I don't know who she is. Go back and read him. This is the greatest. This woman died for her country in a service that he will never even dream to do. But because his father was a congressman and because he named a Dabo, he feels that he can go and make these stupid statements. The mayor was there, Mayor Mamdani. They didn't even give him to speak. And Mamdani is of the same Indian culture and heritage like us. So when you see this racism and this kind of madness going on and this kinds of, put down, you want to know, and I've lived through it, I've seen it, I don't expect better of these people. That they try to control and try to push these people on top of us. And he himself is saying, I don't know and I don't care about her. Although I will never be as great as her. Although me or my children or none of us will ever give our life in this country come home in a casket. And by that token, my patriotism and my whosoever I am is far below that. Me, a congressman's son and a state senator, is far below that of Sergeant Rampersaud. Because I will never even dream to make the sacrifice that she did. And yet it matters to him and it matters to them. That they can put us down in a way like that and nobody tell them, get the hell out of here. You can't even rub shoes with her. You shouldn't even be speaking about that woman. If you know nothing about her, then shut up. He was speaking about somebody you don't even know because his other crony called him up to speak. Go to the video, you'll see. And I will talk about this later. But right now, I don't want to diverge too much from what we're talking about in Guyana because, like I said, we have our own battles here. And I've been trying my best to fight. But some of you now are part of the problem. And I'll tell you what the problem is. You can have somebody like Albert BALDEO spend his money, spend his time, spend his family's time trying to get on the ballot to empower you. And you know what some of you do? You don't even go out and vote. Just a goddamn vote that you don't even have to pay for. You don't even have to pay to vote. You just have to go out and vote. Yet, many of you couldn't be bothered. But if you have a picnic or you have a dance hall or you have a duck curry competition or you got some party, you're there. I'm not saying you mustn't go to these things. I am saying that you must be responsible citizens. If you want to command respect, you have to give respect. And if you can't give respect to yourself, then you're allowing yourself to be eaten by the wolves. And that is all they want. They want to say the same thing I said. These are people coming, they just want money. They're not civic minded. They don't speak up. They don't care. All I know for dance, all I know is to drink rum, and that is how you become a disgrace to our society. and you don't help us who pay the ultimate price in fighting for you. And I'm looking you straight in the eye and telling you that many of you have that disease. You have that foot and mouth disease. Yes. Foot and mouth disease. That you don't appreciate that. It's only if you put your pocket, your money in your hand in your pocket and spend your money, put your money where your mouth is, then you'll probably go out and vote. Voting is free. You just got 2 minutes, 5 minutes. There's a voting place at every school, or become a citizen and make sure that you protect yourself and that you can vote. But some of you couldn't give a darn. Some of you couldn't even care less. Oh, I'm voting for BALDEO. You aren't voting for BALDEO. BALDEO don't need you. BALDEO don't need representation. BALDEO don't need you. Simple. I have had my battles and I fight for myself and I know my issues and I know I lift myself up. I don't need you to do that. But you must have somebody who can speak like this to represent you at the highest levels. Because without that you are nothing. Because you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't even open your mouth. And assuming you could open your mouth, you couldn't even know how and when to open it. And in what manner that you can command respect. But you won't join somebody who's doing it. You got 1,001 things to talk. Talk is cheap, brothers and sisters. Lagabari is cheap. You can wash your mouth all day. Without even washing your mouth physically with the right soap, mouthwash. And you can be proud of yourself all day long. And you keep down another Indian from rising. And when it's time for you to get representation, then you're ready for go around to your BALDEO there. BALDEO probably may not even have time for you. He may not even be ready for that. He may be retired. But this is the problem that we've had from the inception when we became as indentured servants. The colonial masters made you what you are. You didn't have the mind set to show that we're independent. You were taught to sell your own. You were taught to be snakes crawling on your bellies, to sell out the other person, become the house slave, so that the field slave is exposed. You rat on each other. You live good with the colonial masters. You curry favor. You suck up. You suck up so you can get the benefits. You don't have the backbone. That is a part of the culture. That is a Dalit mentality. I'm talking to you. Let's talk. And that is what affects not all of us, but many of you have got to put that and throw that aside. Throw it aside for your children's future. Because after Albert BALDEO is gone, you need other Albert BALDEOs to come and play that fight. Or they're going to walk on you. They're going to send you to wars. They're going to take away what you have. They're going to take away your health care. They're going to take away your homes. And they will do what they want to have to do. And you can't say nothing about it. And that will be the problem. And that problem has to be solved. Because if you don't solve that problem, then you will have a problem there in representation. And representation is not an easy thing to lose. Representation is something that has to be gained. If you don't gain representation, then you'll be lost. And that is my simple advice to you is that stand up and be counted. Stand up and be counted. Don't be afraid to stand up. This is America. They harass you, you pay them a civil rights lawsuit. That is how other races have made themselves known. Is that something where we, Johnny come lately, or Johnny is a situation where we can't do that? No, it's not something like that. You've got to continue to fight. You've got to continue to realize that you're in a land where if you don't talk, if you don't speak up, nobody listens to you. Nobody's going to swing that thing and come along and say, oh, that nice, quiet, decent, polite, honest, upbringing, well-mannered individual. I'd like you to... No, it doesn't work like that. America is a different country. That might have happened in Ghana during my time when I went to Queen's College. Yes, people respected that dignity and that quietness and that quiet dignity. But now America made me a warrior. Because if you're not a warrior or a gladiator, you are not getting anything. You're not going to be able to survive. You're going to be caught up in many things. and you would not be able to live the true American dream. And somebody's telling me to tell Trump about that. Well, why don't you tell Trump there's a free country? Why are you so scared? They said the ICE was in Liberty Avenue today, Richmond Hill. They called me. What am I going to do with ICE? ICE don't work under me. But immigration law, I gave all of you green cards, all of you citizens. I always tell you go out and vote. And now you don't even do that. You don't even care. All you want to do is to get the public benefits and don't do anything. And brothers and sisters, that is not right. You've got to continue to elevate yourselves. You've got to continue to big yourself up. You've got to be your greatest friend and encourager. And you've got to push each other to new heights. Because if you don't do that, nobody's going to do that for you. Nobody's going to do that for you. You've got to do that yourself. And, people have talked about this new boat, why it isn't being used. Well, I agree with all of you what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. This new boat, what is keeping it back from being commissioned? Are we waiting for another tragedy? Are we waiting to see what is going to happen next? My brothers and sisters, if your car got a tire and you got to drive that car, you got to change the tire. You just can't go out on the road with the same tire. I don't care who bookings what and when up to when you have with these white clothes, fancy soiree. People cancel all of them. Cancel it. It has to run for the MV Barima route. And you have to make that wharf. If you make an excuse about the wharf, or the silt is not there, the sand is not there, all of that is rubbish. It's what Joe Biden called malarkey. Malarkey is the feces of a bird. Malarkey. So you can't make up these excuses and say, oh, the boat can't. You got the boat. You pay $12 million for it from India. They don't get the money. And you still are not floating this boat. You still are not using it. And the wharf is a problem. When the wharf done, they're going to say, oh, you know what, the sun not shining the right way? Is that going to be the next excuse? Or the moon not in the right position? I had a client I took him for one of the hardest cases in immigration law, got them the green card, and come and telling me, oh, we can't go into immigration law because the moon not in the right position. The pandits. I don't mean no disrespect to pandits. I mean no disrespect, sir. But I turned and I told her, I as a lawyer, I'm going in there with you and you will get through. You will pray and so on later. But as if I'm a lawyer, I'm advising you, I'm in charge of the case, and my technical expertise is going to get you there. You know, when she got through, she thanked the pandit, she didn't thank me. And she had fake documents and this and backtrack and fake social and fake benefits and criminal record. These are the type of cases you do. And I have done and I've succeeded in. And people have no thanks about them. They don't have no thanks. They always thank somebody else. But that's how lawyers, sometimes people don't give you your credit. People don't give you your due. And they would go and badmouth you. Guyanese are the best in doing that. So coming back to this issue is that you got to put the ship out seaworthy. And you got to make it where it can dock. Make the dock better. Make the dock fit it. Don't look for excuses and then say, oh, we can't do this or we can't do that. Or time is not right for this. That's not how this is going to play out. You've got to be able to make sure that you can get these things done in a way that they can be approved and they can pass muster. And yes, Mohammed Khan, we do have freedom of speech. I'm right now in the business of speaking like that. Kesh, somebody saying here, seriously, only when PPP in power, then you come out. Well, you see, that's a fallacy. Let me tell you something when PPP get in power. I know PPP before Irfan and Jagdeo. Cherry Jagan gave me an award when I was a young lawyer at the age of 26 for doing a treason case, probably before you were born. And he gave it to me because I helped the PPP pro bono. I helped the people who belong to the PPP who had a fake charge. And I helped them to beat the charges. And Cherry Jagan personally congratulated me. So like I said, when you people wash your mouth and say, oh, you're not coming to PPP and this and PPP and that, then you're showing a great level of ignorance. ignorance and pity. Because you must understand is that people like me do not change overnight. We have always been like this, fighting the field and fighting the great fights. It is just that at the time that you wake up or probably came out of your slumber, you recognize, oh, this man is standing up. And it's not that I'm standing up. These are issues of public domain. These are issues that are all over the world. This is not a PPP and a PNC issue. That is where you all have a very small mind. This is not a PPP, PNC or win issue. That's bringing win because they have done very well. And they are the opposition in Guyana. So those who think, well, oh, because Mr. Mohammed Tak or because Mr. My good friend went to Bishops with me. He's now the head of the opposition, the PNC. He has a chicken place. So his name escapes me now. But I'll remember and I'll tell you. When he speaks, that is because we went to Bishops together. Or because I feel that, I worked as a state prosecutor under the Barima and Hoyt governments, but on my class as a prosecutor. I didn't get employed there because I was brown or black or Indian. I got employed there by virtue of my brilliance as a young lawyer, and you ought to understand that. I don't know what is your claim to fame. Whether you're one of those, people who love to talk. You seem to be one of them. But the problem is that Rahim Amirali, and when PPP in power, then you come out. I've always been out. Always been out in the courtrooms and all over the place. I don't know which coffin you crawl out from or under which bush. But brother, you must know somebody before you cast aspersions. A lot of you like to put your name. However you put your name, Rahim Amirali, better that's your name. I hope it is. It doesn't even matter to me. I don't give a fart who you are. My issue is that you must be able to talk proper sense. Get proper sense. Don't remain stupid all your life. Don't be an ignoramus. Right now you're showing that only when PPP power then you come out. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know who you are, and I don't know how you judge me and how you know me or why you make those comments. But a lot of you got to be able to stop opening your mouth when you feel like doing it and wash your mouth on other people, so to say. You must stop washing your mouth on other people and wash your mouth with glycerine, the right thing. And I can descend into the crab dance just like you because I'm born and grown in Better Hope. I've walked the streets and I'm a road man. I can insult you in the Queen's language, in the Oxford language, or Harvard University where I went to and did postgraduate studies, or Oxford where I went to and did history, a term of history at Oxford University. Or I can just insult you like the man in the back down and call you a Katahar. Either way, I am prepared to speak because we have a duty to talk. And I'm not saying this because this is a PPP issue or this is a PNC issue. It is not. This is an issue that affects everybody. It affects the citizens of Guyana. And as a leader elected in this community, and I've been all my life, I've been the first person to reach this level of outspokenness in the United States of America. One of the main reasons why we got Little Guyana recognized, and that is what it's all about. We have a long road to go. I see Pastor Nabi is here. Pastor Nabi has an article in the New York Times. He talked about how we were divided, how we were redistricted out, how we were cut up and diced. That's a brave thing the pastor did, Ijaz Nabi. Congratulations to him. You, on the other hand, Rahim Amirali, one of the poor souls that is lost and hope you can be found, will come out and say, oh, when you was the one in the PPP in power, then you come out. Sometimes you have to be careful how you accuse people, my friend. You must be just and you must be honest. To thine own self be true. Go and read the Bible, go and ask for forgiveness. But let's move on. So it is my theory and it is my desire to have this ship brought out. The ship must be brought up and it must be checked for evidence. And we also must establish, as I said, those who have not brought a notice of claim or a statement of intent. And I'm not saying this because I want lawsuits to flow against the Guyana government. I'm saying this to protect the rights of people who have lost their families. And if you have lost their families and those little kids can't grow, are growing up without parents, they're growing up without food, they're growing up without clothes, they're growing up without welfare, money is always the currency. Then they have a right to sue the government. I'm calling on the Guyana government to form a broad-based commission of leaders and so on there, and people from over here there were. People like Ijaz Nabi and those pastors here, Reverend Detwar, and all these folks who are leaders in this area, humanitarians. If you want me, I can be there also. To reach a settlement like they did in 9/11. In 9/11, lawsuits were going to fly, and the people came together, had a commission, and they gave everybody a due amount. They didn't give them chicken feed. They didn't give them insults. They gave them enough over a period of time, staggered, to make sure that they do not become paupers, beggars, mendicants, or they didn't become like people who were lost from society. That is the American way. That is the great way. That is how you make provision for people. And that is how provision ought to be made by the Guyana government. It's not that we don't have oil. It's that's not that we can afford it. It's a matter of making whole people, giving them the salvation and the help that they deserve. They didn't ask to sink in a boat, 100 of them, and die, or pay them money and buy a ticket and go into a ship that was not seaworthy, or go into a ship expecting to go to Port Kaitium and spend the holidays and go with their family, and a minister or whosoever come and put some heavy loads and some cargoes and some roller on the ship and make it go down, on a captain who decided to smoke marijuana and drink there, on somebody who didn't provide vests, on folks who couldn't care less who'd live or who die. They didn't deserve that. And they have a basis in law to sue for negligence. It may not be murder, but it certainly will be manslaughter. That's a criminal act. But then you have to file a notice of claim if you're going to sue. And that is where I believe, as God told us, the greatness of God and His forgiveness and His mercy lies in making people whole. Not necessarily in punishing them and beheading them. Not necessarily. But in giving them the provision of life that they can walk the face of the earth in a way that they don't have to bow and beg people for sustenance and for bread and milk. And that is why they must file the notice or the statement of claim. And I ask the lawyers in the Guyana Bar Association to come forward with a plan. It's a simple notice to preserve these people's rights. And you have to file it within 30 days of the accident. So 1 week already gone. 1 week already gone. You only have 3 weeks left, counsel. 3 years, three weeks, brothers and sisters. It's a simple 1-page notice of claim. You file that against the government. You serve it on the Transport and Harbors Department, on ministries of the government, Ejil and Indar, and you also serve it on Marad. So you give them notice that I intend to sue. I intend to make myself whole. I intend to stand up for my rights as a Guyanese citizen whose navel string is buried in Guyana. I intend to ask the government to provide for me. I'm not asking for President Ali's money or the Prime Minister or Asudin or whosoever. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for the money that belongs collectively to the people of Guyana. I am asking for compensation because I lost my parents. I lost my grandfather. I lost my brother. I lost my sister. I don't have anywhere to go. I am an orphan. I don't have any means of support. I am not in the begging business. I don't know how to beg. My father wanted me to become somebody, my grandfather, and them invested in me, but they died. They sank. Or their children, the lady who lost 7 children. All these people must be compensated. This is not whether PVP in power, PNC in power, or WIN is in power. This is a national tragedy. This is something that affects us all. Understand this, people. Why is everything got to be termed in terms of what you call politics? Whether it's a political issue, it's a political victory, it's a political speech. When BALDEO come and advise, oh, you want politics, you want on President of Guyana. Oh, you want to come back and run, let me bring you back. You want on a Attorney General, you want to have the speaker. And I understand a lot of you have asked to become that. And I thank you and I feel very appreciated you say that. But the very virtue of speaking to all of you is much more than you will get from these folks. And that is, file your notice of claim within 3 weeks. The notice of claim has who died, how they died, what they suffered from. You want damages. You want compensation. You want for pain and suffering, for loss of earnings. This person was 20 years old. They had 35 more years of their working life. Calculate that and give it to their child. If you have something like that in the court system, if you have something like that according to the grace of God that's in the line, the government is likely to come to the table and say, you know what? We're going to compensate you. We are not going to leave you out. Take care of yourself. Don't take care of, oh, somebody come and tell you, some politician sign this or sign this, like what happened in Mario, or sign this, we're going to give you 5,000 now. Or if I sign this, we're going to give you 3,000 now and you bury your folks. Come back next week. We going to come back here, watch for the helicopter, you come. That's not how the law works. You file your statement of notice of claim within the 3 weeks left. And you leave it there. You keep a copy. You keep your method of service, whether certified mail, whether you serve it to them personally, you get an affidavit, whosoever serve it, who's not a party to the action, or a process server from the High Court. As when I was a magistrate, you know these people, they are paid. A marshal, process server, they serve and they give an affidavit. I serve this paper and so and so. And you keep that. That is your insurance policy. That is your ticket to freedom. That is your ticket to compensation. That is your right as a Guyanese. That is your right as a person who has lost loved ones. That is how you lift yourself from the quagmire of being an orphan, or being a nobody for the rest of your life, or being somebody who's going to become somebody else's slave. And take it from me, I'm doing this because I know that over 100 people have loved ones who can bring that action. They can apply to the court. If you're a family member, certainly you have connections there. You become an executor of the estate. If there's a will, you're the executor. You're named the executor. Or you ask the court to be the administrator of the estate, or to be the guardian, or to be the representative. These judges are not all inhumane. Not all of them give out 30 years for, or 40, 50 years and put somebody out. They understand. They have children too. You apply to them. I want this here to be the power of attorney or the representative or the guardian. Because power of attorney, I don't know if you all know this, but learn this also before you go yap your mouth and talk bad about BALDEO or whosoever. A power of attorney dies when the person dies. Let's say you give me a power of attorney, okay, to do your banking transaction, transfer your land and so on. And you die. That power of attorney dies because the principal is no longer alive and the agency is exterminated by operation of law. So, it's not a power of attorney anymore. It's like a letter of administration, a letter testamentary. It could be like a guardianship. It was like a responsibility letter. Ask the judge will grant it. I appoint you, Tom Jones, to be the claimant and the guardian or the representative or the executor of the estate of John Jones and Mary Timothy, who died in the MV Barima, or believed to have died in that that national tragedy. And you hold that, you serve it. It has to be served and filed in the court. Just can't put it up in your, in the mattress. No, that has to be filed in the court, stamped and filed and served on the government of Ghana, the Attorney General. You're not serving Mr. Nandilal in his personal capacity, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. Nandilal, and sometimes I don't have so much respect. I know him. He's actually like my study with his uncle, and we have a very good relationship. I guess we have a mutual respect. We went to Queen's College together. It's not about Mr. Nandalal's personal assets. It's about Mr. Nandilal standing as the Attorney General of Guyana and a necessary party to this action. Unfortunately, Attorney General comes with a lot of clout and power. But with that, as a Minister of Justice, it also comes with responsibility. Whether it's in the United States or England or where, Australia, India, the Attorney General is the chief lawyer for the state, and upon him, we have to, and upon him, that we have to, that it has to be solved there. It's upon him. Sam, are you hearing me now? Please reply. Sam, you're hearing? Please reply there. Or Hiram, my good friend. Hiram Rampersaud, are you hearing me, sir? Man, I don't want to know that I was talking so much and nobody was hearing me on this particular thing here. This is what Facebook. I'm actually very active here. Over 10,000 people are looking on TikTok, I believe. But I'm concerned about the fact that are you hearing me, gentlemen? Are you hearing me, Kenneth? Hiram? Are you hearing me? Please indicate if you're watching. Somebody say no song. Sam Narain, my good friend, professor, are you hearing me on this live? Please indicate. Audio. Somebody said audio again. Volume, please. My gosh. That is why you got to keep up the breast of this, you know. And I come to America as a lawyer, you know, most of them don't know how to type. I have to learn to type and do all these kinds of things here, believe it or not. That is how you have to bring yourself up to the level that you've required here in America. It's not something that is easy. Somebody please indicate whether you're hearing me, JP Suku, or any of these great folks out there. I want to know if you're hearing me on this particular one. Bring them on video. Adisha, Samuel, Narain. Anyway, I got to make sure the next time that I do it that at least the Facebook is working. But let's continue because we have a very large audience on YouTube, and also we have this TikTok going on. I'm just trying to, because sometimes, you know, I have a tendency to bring these issues out and not to be able to do it for the whims and fancies of others, and only when I do have the time. So I'm trying to cover a lot of ground here. But I was talking to you about that 30-day notice. The 30-day notice is very, very important. And the 30-day notice is very important in the sense that you have to make sure it is filed and served on the folks there. If that is not done, then that notice of intent and the lawsuit will fail, because then you have not complied with the law and give the government. You see, governments have prerogative. Governments are treated like royalty and sovereignty. All governments, not only Guyana, England, Canada, America, all of them have statutes that favor them. Statute of limitations. It's a shorter time period. They protect themselves. They legislate law so that they can't be, so that they can be sued. So the problem there is that when that is done, let me see, are you all hearing me now? On Facebook, I don't know what's wrong with the song there. So people complain and not getting me the song on Facebook, and that bothers me. I'm trying to fix that. Anyway, coming back to that, I'm sorry about that if you can't hear me, but you can join me on TikTok, or you can join me on YouTube. Let me just try to fix this. In the meantime, you can get a cup of coffee, or you can go to the bathroom, or whatever you need to get done. I'm trying to fix back the YouTube one. to go live. Eventually you get to master this, never back down from anything. In my time, you didn't have all these things. Details, I'll just put MV Barima. So you can go to Albert BALDEO on YouTube and you can see it there. You can see MV Barima. No, it's not made for kids. Although it's on behalf of the kids that died also. Age restriction, we have to put that also. It's not made for kids. And it doesn't have any AI in it. And then we try to go to next. Anyone can participate. Okay, next. Public. Done. Let's see if it's gonna come up. MV Barima. Go live. Okay, we're back live on YouTube. And I don't know if anyone can come in there if they want to. I know the member of parliament from Guyana, Mr. Gobin Harbajan, was trying to join. I apologize, sir, if you didn't get through. We're gonna make sure that we can get you back, or if you can try to join in on TikTok. But live is activated back again on YouTube. But coming back to what I was saying, if you can forfeit your rights in a lawsuit if you do not comply with time. That happens all the time. It happens all the time. Shondell Braffett, I wanted to ask you if you are hearing me. Just type it in on the on there if you're hearing me. Some people say it's like a zebra trying to change its spots. Well, you know, I always tell people there's always somebody who's gonna hold you, or gonna be able to hold your, the zebra, when the lion comes to the zebra, and I'm not saying I'm a lion or anything like that, I'm just saying the system has lions that can come after you and question you, and that is not something that they must rule out. So everybody's got to, comply with the law, get the house in order, compensate these people, and make sure that they can comply with what is required of them. I'm trying to add Paul Dindial. Paul Dindial, if you're there, I'm trying to add you on Facebook. I don't know if you can come on. It's saying add in, but yet it doesn't show you up. It's calling you, but it's not allowing you to enter. I don't, it's adding, it says adding. So, apparently, anyway, let's continue. And if those lawsuits are not filed within 30 days, and it's only 3 weeks left, then it will bar you from being able to claim against the government. It will give you no options against the government. You'll have to take what we say in Guyana, the kush that you get. You'll have to take the coconut shell because you don't have nothing to bargain with. You don't have like an intent to sue. You're out of time. You're statutorily barred because you didn't file a notice of claim against the government. In New York City, the same thing applies. You have to file a notice of claim, a notice of intent to sue within 45 days. Within 45 days, you have to file that to the government. If you don't file that, then you would have a problem. And that problem is that you would be statute barred from bringing that lawsuit. and you'll be left without a remedy. And you'll have to accept if anything comes your way in terms of a handout. You no longer have legal rights. You no longer have legal standing. That is why the preservation of legal standing is the most fundamental and important part of your journey and your relationship with the law. Because if you don't have that, then you will have a problem. You will definitely have a problem in terms of maintaining and continuing your lawsuit and getting justice for you and your family. You wouldn't be able to get justice anymore because you would not be getting anything from them. You don't have the standing, and perhaps, who knows, the legal officer, I don't want to call names, representing the government, may tell you, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. We're offering you $5,000, and that is what you'll have to take. Or you're not getting anything from us. So you want to have a level playing field. You want to have your rights preserved. You want to make sure that you have your rights intact. You want to have the protection afforded by law. You want to be within the statute of limitations. You want to make sure that that you can do what is supposed to be done. And that is a situation where that is so very much important for you to have that statement of claim filed. That is what you need to get done. Now, a lot of people are waddling in ignorance. I saw some Muhammad Khan asking me, what have we done for the people in New York? Well, let me summarize that, because some people like to live under a mushroom, or to live in some horse dung pit. So you have to emphasize to them. Well, let's start from the beginning. And I'll try to be very quick and precise. The first person to be elected here from the Indo-Caribbean people, Guyanese, Trinidadians, South Asians, Indo-Caribbeans, since 2004 was me, Albert BALDEO, when I became a district leader. I broke the barrier. The first person to stop the schools from closing, Richmond High School and John Adams High School, they were going to be closed by Mayor Bloomberg. We fought against that, and we preserved those schools from closing. The first person to fight against 111 being made a thoroughfare and continue to be a major route, and they wanted to close the Liberty Avenue going to the Van Wyck Expressway. We stood up for that, and we got that. I was the one who got the elevated subway installed at Liberty Avenue. They had that plan, Lefferts on Liberty. They never gave it to us. I took them to court. Under the American for Disabilities Act, where you cannot discriminate against senior people, pregnant mothers, women, and the disabled. And hence I was able to get that. I've been in the forefront of fighting for redistricting, where we can get equal districts. So folks like you who never go to vote and never have a face and are always kicked out and feel happy with yourself being a second-class citizen, living in America in a crab dog, so to speak, we have been able to empower people like you, give you a life, give you dignity, make you count. So people don't just throw you and go inside to clean the toilets, give you a better life, give you better jobs. That have been in the forefront of giving you a face, giving you empowerment, making you whole, making you stand up, giving you dignity. And I need not go on, because I don't like to talk about myself. Those who know, know. Now, that was an answer to somebody who's saying, what have you done for the people in New York? When I have been an acknowledged civil rights leader, hero, and elected person, the first of its kind, and I've paved the way for people like Richard David and Rhonda Binder and all the Japanese saying, and all these other people have come after me to continue the legacy. I would invite you to become to stand up and do something, sir, so that you can make yourself viable, livable, and somebody we can count on. But I don't know why I answered someone like you who happens to be just like sort of like a stray on this live trying. Oh yes, Muhammad Khan, what you ever did for the Guyana society. So Muhammad Khan, that was directed to you, sir. You can now go and have a bath and wash your mouth. Brothers and sisters, coming back to real talk now on let's put aside the crab dogs and the futile and puerile people aside, the non-entities and people who will always never like their own and are always there to portray them as bad people. Let's forget about the Muhammad Khans of the world, and let's leap to a different and higher land. My father always told me, look up, look forward, not at the people behind them. You leave the Muhammad Khans and those people way behind, and you leave them sinking in their own mess, their own feces, and you ascend and go to the higher land. That is what champions and gladiators do. That is what I'm proud to do all my life, and I will continue to do and leave others behind. Now, when that lawsuit is filed, then you have, it is 3 years for the statute to bring that lawsuit, but I do clamor for and will continue to fight to make sure that there are others there, that there's situations where people are able to get compensation. And I'm not talking about $5,000 and so on. I'm talking for a lot of money that people need to get. You know, I need about fair compensation. I'm talking about fair compensation. I'm not talking about cush money. I'm talking about money whereby they can be able to be whole. Get money for future life, money for education, money to put food on the table, money for clothes, all that years of service that their parents died and couldn't provide for them. The government of Guyana, our collective money, is not their finale money, is not Barak Jagda money, is not Ali money, is not whosoever, Barima money, whoever you want to call it. It's the people of Guyana. It's collectively Guyanese funds, the consolidated fund. That's where the money comes from. The money that all Guyanese collectively own. That money must be given out to them. But if you don't have a notice of claim, which I'm urging all of you to have, then you will not be able to get something from legitimately to stand across the table, toe to toe, on equal basis, and ask the Attorney General, who will be the representative of Guyana or the President of Guyana, but I want to have just compensation. I'm entitled. I lost my parents, I lost my uncle, I lost my kids, I lost this, I lost that. All these people, there's a value to their life. And I don't want to reduce it in terms of monetary value only. There's much more to human life than just dollars and cents. But dollars and cents are a fundamental equalizer that have to be considered in cases of personal injury and damages. And that is done in courts all over the world. There is a quantification of what you have lost and what you are worth and what earnings have been taken from you. And that, my brothers and sisters, has to be taken into consideration and factored in terms of compensating people who have lost their parents. And you have to get that done. If you can't, then we will not be able to make people whole. We will not be able to make people whole. This is the problem. And the issue here is that we have to make people whole. We have to make people get the compensation that they didn't ask to die, they didn't ask to drown, they didn't ask for the family to be taken from the earth, taken from them. Imagine if your parents were dead and you were just a baby, or you were a couple years old. What would have happened to you? I've always thought of that. My father's a hire car driver. I always prayed for him to come home safely. I always thought if my father died on the road, what would happen to me as a kid? Would I go to Queen's College? Will I become a lawyer? Will I go to the best universities? Will I excel? Will I become a lawyer in 2 different countries? Will I ever be elected as the first Guyanese to be elected to public office? Will I be able to be the trailblazer that I become? Will I be able to become the trendsetter and traverse all these different fences and granite ceilings? Would I be able to somebody to say, oh, I can be like that guy? Inspire them. These are thoughts that are worthy thoughts. These are thoughts that are human. And these are humane thoughts that are only natural. And hence they must be applied in trying to get full compensation from the Guyana government. And that is a legal right. A moral and a legal right. It's not a handout. It's not free stuff. It's because their lives were lost, or they were injured, or they suffered during an exercise or travel of a ship owned by the government of Guyana, the MV Barima. That is the law. That is the morality. That is where the rubber hits the road. That is something we can't avoid. They can paint it how they want and say it's political and this body win one, this a PV one, this a PNC one. No, it's a Guyanese issue. It's not East Indian issue or an African American issue or a Portuguese issue or an Amerindian issue. It's not. It's a collective humanity, Guyana, one Guyana issue. And do not separate the issues according to race, religion, party, creed, or whosoever you like in Guyana. It's something that must come from within. That as Guyanese, whatever religion he is, whatever race he is, whatever ethnicity he is, where he come from or what, he or she is entitled to that. Just as I would want to be entitled if I was affected by that. So the law is a great equalizer. The law does not take sides in universal issues like this. The law is there to be followed by everybody, and we all have to follow it. And that is why I'm telling you that we have to all follow the law in that singular respect. And that is why you have to file a notice of claim, to make yourself whole, to put yourself on the equal playing field, to put you in a bargaining position with the government, that I've complied with my legal rights, and I'm now entitled to compensation. I'm open to discussion. How much will you be paying me? My parents' pain and suffering, my family, my children, the pain and suffering, the debt, the loss of earnings, the loss of what they had, the punitive damages, exemplary damages because of the way this vessel was done. These are all issues that a proper lawyer will consider. It may be exemplary because somebody bring all this weight on the boat and overwhelmed it. They're logical issues, legitimate issues. That the conduct of the crew and the captain and the minister and whosoever did this was outrageous. It was beyond normal behavior. It was based on greed. They were doing their own side business. That whosoever overloaded the ferry that was only entitled to carry X amount of passengers, but was carrying many times that amount, or double, or 150% or whatever, that conduct leads to compensation, to punitive damages, to exemplary amounts awarded by a proper judge, who will see that these were over 100 lives needlessly thrown away, 100 prominent lives that was just thrown to the gutter. And hence, brothers and sisters, that is something that has to be addressed, something that must be taken in account for, and something that must, for all intents and purposes, those are issues that must be flushed out. There's no getting away from that. And I also want to mention this. The government of Guyana must have insurance for its vessels. Parliament must make the law that government, whether it's Guyana and it obtains in other countries, you don't get a pass. You don't get a pass like what happened in the Barima. We don't got insurance. When the minister said, oh, we don't have insurance, loud and clear. He shouldn't be proud of that, because now the government will be liable personally. If there was insurance, then you will get it from Lloyd's or London. The foreign insurance company will have to compensate you. They will have to compensate the people of Guyana without all this anguish and all this acrimony, because it's a law. So we must make the law in Guyana that whatever vessel or aircraft, whether or minibus or whatever, well, the minibuses and cars we have insurance for that in Guyana. But let's talk about the ships, the ferries, the pontoons, the trawlers, the aircrafts. They must be insured, even if they're owned by the government, not only private. Everybody must get insurance. Everyone must have insurance. They must have that insurance, because if they don't have the insurance, then they will not be able to function properly. They will not be able to function because they don't have that insurance. And that would be the big problem right there, that there's no insurance. So brothers and sisters, we call for insurance. It must be that there must be insurance, that everyone must have insurance, that they must be called upon to display their insurance, that they must be required to take out a policy. They must take out a policy of insurance. Roma Ramdan, can you tell me if you're hearing me on Facebook? Just send a little text there saying, you says Roma Ramdan. He says, I can't hear you, but I tried to change that song. Or Paul Dindial, tell me if you guys are hearing me, because I would like you to hear me. And as we continue to show that we must have insurance, whether it's government, Roma. Can you hear me now? I hope they can. Anyway, let's continue. Basically, the major feed I have right now is TikTok. The others are not as productive as TikTok. And I want you to share the live. Share the live. Share this view. Invite your friends to look. We're going to ratchet up another level now of law. I want you to share the live. I want you to get to join my broadcast. I want you to become a part of my group. I want you to continue to have these discussions so we can be of use and value to you. We want to continue to spread our knowledge on both sides of the jurisdiction. Not many people are qualified in law in Guyana and the United States. Have had that privilege of educating themselves on both sides of the Atlantic or the Caribbean Sea. Not many of us, because every country has its own law. And if you have somebody who's willing to assist you and to shed light on you, and all these emails and all these calls I've been getting, I got calls from Madia, from Barima, from the Amerindian villages. People are calling and asking for answers, and I've been trying to provide them. I've just talked about the notice that is required. I've just talked about lifting the vessel. That is no excuse for that. That the prime minister got to stop talking about, oh, we're going to left it out there. You don't know how many bodies are there. You don't know how many people are buried. You don't know who's in that boat. Your manifest is a joke. You need to bring proper mathematical, logistical, and humane closure to this issue. We have to find out just who are the people that were on that boat. We need a complete list. You have to find out who died. In 9/11 here, when those Twin Towers come out and thousands of people died, they were able to build those lists over time, make it accurate, inscribe their names, have a proper mourning and memorial place, give them their due rewards. They are heroes and sheroes. They are people who are deserving of our love and our gratitude. They are people who paid a great price, lost their lives. They are pioneers. They are poor people, but nevertheless, they are people. And they are our brothers and sisters. And whether you consider them to be Native Americans or Guyanese or whatever you call them, that is wrong. Because they are part and parcel of the fabric of Guyana. Some of them were there before the boats came from Africa, before the boats came from Madeira, from Portugal, before the boats came from India. They had stock roots and had roots from the Arawaks and the Caribs. And they had made civilization in Guyana. But I don't want to make Guyana a place where you have somebody come before that they're entitled to more than the persons who are living there. Everyone is equal. You're brushed and painted in the same term of Guyanese. When they accuse you of being a Jonestown person, when they accused you in the Caribbean before we got oil, it was a broad swipe against all Guyanese. From the time they heard the term Guyanese, they had it in for you. They already had pigeonholed you as a lesser being. And I've personally experienced that. When I was in Trinidad to go to law school, I was told by the immigration officer, an African American, he was going to put me back on the next flight. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't trouble him. He just was prejudiced against me. He just didn't like me because I was young and I was going to law school. At the age of 19, I was into law school. Brothers and sisters, there's a lot of prejudice and hate in the world. He told me, if you open your mouth, I'll send you back on the next flight. I had to bite my tongue, and I did. But within me, the rage of becoming a lawyer, the great equalizer, the person who fights civil rights and fight for the underprivileged, because I'm one of them, I'm an underdog. It's always been embedded with me. And I've always fought. I've always enshrined and embraced what it is to be a fighter for others, because it's the most significant and noble thing you can ever do. And I brought that here, fighting for others. I never got paid a cent for my political work. I never asked for or demanded a penny for when I stand up and fight, and the police are after me, and the politicians are after me, and the system are after me, and the fake charities are after me, and they say I'm using my own money for my campaign, and his man got money, and he's a Kuli man, and how he get money. All that crap I've had to fight in my lifetime. All of that. Singularly, wholeheartedly, and all alone. And I look you in the eye and tell you, yes, I've been down that road. And I'm proud to walk there as a brave warrior and come out victorious, still landing on my feet. But that is something you must be proud of, because not many can walk the walk or talk the talk. and you take that from me and take it to the bank. Take it to the bank, whichever bank you live in, or whichever country you live in. I have been down that road, and there's no one who's ever done that. And I'm proud to share with you, to tell you that as Guyanese, you must stick together. As Guyanese, you must lift each other up. You must make decisions, Mr. President. You've got to make the tough decisions. You've got to make decisions you can live with. Decisions that you can say, well, enough is enough. That we have had enough problems here. That we can't take no more. There's too much diversions. This is away from the people. This is about this minister. This is about that. This is not about the people who died. This is not about making them whole. This is not about helping them to become better citizens. This is not helping the country. This is taking away too much time from the work we have to do at hand. This is how we have to reshuffle our cabinet. This is how we have to fire people. This is how we have to send somebody home. There's other professions. You don't owe them a job. They had their chance to be the best minister in the world. They had to be. Nothing is saying they didn't have private businesses, and you can't have private businesses. But if your private businesses overtook your personal duties, then there was a conflict that you had to solve. A conflict that made it a problem. A conflict that cannot continue. A conflict that must and cries out for changes in your administration. And unfortunately, the rubber has hit the road. The time has come. And therefore, there's lots of money and power, as Reindeer 7 is saying here. I don't know why people don't come in their name. My name is Albert BALDEO. It's fully the back there. And some people, they always disguise their name as Apostle or Reindeer or whatever. Crab, louse, whatever. Don't be afraid of who you are. We have freedom of speech. And as long as you say the truth, then nobody can sue you, or perhaps they may come after you, but you have to have some backbone. You can't. Albert BALDEO didn't born with all the backbone in the world. Their backbone was equally and equitably distributed in everybody who was born. So I always tell people, grow some backbone. One guy ran against me, his son come and tell me that how he wish his father had backbone like me. So you got to develop whatever your conscience tells you. That should be your guide. That should be your guide. So share the link. Let's continue the conversation. Share the link and ask people to join so they can all be on the same wavelength here. And we can continue to have our discussions. Like I said, that is the situation with lifting the boat. And now let's talk about people. I got some calls from Barima and Martyr about how they can now preserve evidence so they can bring their lawsuit. As you know, when you bring a case, you being the person who lost your loved ones and who has to prove that case, you have to prove your case on a balance of probabilities, meaning that you have to convince the court or the jury or all of them that I'm entitled to compensation, I'm entitled to be made whole. Please share the live and share them and ask people to like the video, join my group across all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. But this is how you will prove that you were on the boat. The survivors who saw those who were on the boat that died or disappeared or are missing, that eyewitness testimony must be secured. When I say secured, you have to get affidavits from them before they die or before they go missing or before they lose interest or they become afraid. You have to get affidavits from them. If you can get a deposition, which is like them talking into a video, like what I'm talking into on their camera, and you preserve that with a date on it, hold the newspaper up to show the date when that video was taken, the publication of the Stabroek News or Kite Shore, but I think Stabroek News is no longer there, but Kite Shore or Guyana Graphic, Guyana Chronicle, to show the date and that I made this video on that date, or give a written testimony, a testimonial or affidavit stating that they were seen there. Then you would have what is called receipts or travel tickets. Now I know somebody was running their side business also. And that is a problem. And so I'm going to try to bring in some hopes there, some other hosts here, and hoping that they are going to come and you know, and stick to the program here about what we're talking about. And what we're talking about is the Barima tragedy. I don't want anybody to hijack this conversation and take it in another direction. But that's another thing to get the receipts. Let me see if the system is going to allow them to come off. I don't know if it will, but I'm hoping that they're allowed to come on. And I've invited them to come on here. You must have the passenger manifest. That is being done. I hope that will come to bear. Eyewitness testimony, like I talked about. Calls, texts, and photographs. There must have people texting and saying, I'm on the boat. There's actually an audio that came up, a very interesting part, where someone is testifying, and that will be Exhibit C. Exhibit A is a Barima wreck. Exhibit B is a captain who talked about his history of problems there. That this boat was not shipworthy and it was a wreck waiting to happen. He is exhibit number 2 for you to bring in your case. And then in Exhibit 3, it's that video or audio where somebody said, oh, the captain told him they can't bring no more load on his boat, and they're still bringing on the load. The captain said no more cargo, and they still got it coming in there. And therefore, the problem is that we can't allow more cargo, but yet people continue to be reckless. People continue to be negligent. Some people continue to be barefaced and continue to overload the boat. And if ministers was doing this, or higher-ups, or their messengers, all those people got to come and testify. And then you build the case against X amount of people. Ultimately, though, it's with the government of Guyana, because they were acting vicariously. You call it vicarious liability. If these acts were done in the course of their employment in the Transport and Harbors Department, then they will be liable. So that is a principle under which you're suing. But you're naming the Attorney General, you're naming the government of Guyana, you're naming the MARAD, that department, and you're also naming the ministers who are in charge of that as the defendants in this matter. Not in their personal capacities. You're not going to get money from them personally. You're not going to be able to take away the house or whatever mansions they have. But at least you're preserving your rights under the law. And I would tell you this, whether it was a PNC minister, a WIN minister, or a PPP minister, that is the law. We as lawyers are not scared of the law. That is how the law operates. In America, wherever you go, perhaps if you have the experience that I have and the exposure, you'll not be afraid to speak up like I am speaking up, to say, well, oh, what you said about the minister, blah, blah. It's not about the minister per se. It's about the people who lost their life. It's about compensation. It's about whether you can live with your conscience, to see a child grow up in poverty, to see a child got to eat its own feces to survive. That's what this is about. Not whether somebody continues to live merely after taxpayers' dollars. So let your conscience be your guide, those who are willing to criticize and those who are opt to criticize someone for speaking out. So photographs and that audio is a great audio. If I, as a lawyer, was bringing this case, or lawyers, they should download that audio, identify the person, contemporaneously make it a part of the case, where this person is saying, hi, I'm on the Barima, and we're going to Port Kaituma, and today, today date, and so on, the weather is all right. The waves are calm, and it's, big wave here, the weather's not so bad. You're excluding any kind of external excuse for them to bring up. And then he goes on to say, but the captain tell these people, do not bring no more load onto this boat. And then people is to bring on more load. And he got some big people here come here, and them tell them that they carry this and carry that. The captain tell them no. The captain himself facing a murder charge. That will be helpful in his defense. He'd be able to show that he didn't recklessly or negligently, forget about murder, it's more manslaughter, cause that to happen. That this come from instructions being given from abroad, from the acts of others, or that he may have been coerced into sailing the boat when it was not seaworthy, or when it didn't have, and other people put on the load and added on to the load. So that's a perfect defense for him and the other two. And it's also grounds to show that the government vicariously was liable for the damages and for what happened to these people. So let's continue on. So that is the evidence right now that you have to look at. Instead of those who like to talk and talk nonsense, and you're affected, start looking out for evidence. Recovered belongings that tie something to somebody. Don't claim a relative who probably might have gone to Australia to live and said, no, he died there and want money. Because those things are insurance fraud, you come back, or lawsuit fraud. You have to be able to prove your case. You know, when 9/11 happened in America, a lot of people suddenly appeared and said they were there and they had illnesses or they were there in the last family. Don't get involved with that. That could lead to another crime and another lockup of somebody there. Now, you have to get the Coast Guard report, the police report, and the search and rescue reports, in addition to the manifest that stated who were on that ferry. And prove that there's been no contact since the capsizing. Because if somebody survived, and in the very unlikely instance that they didn't report back, then you gotta be able to cover for them to show that they unfortunately they died. And that reasonable searches have failed. Reasonable searches have failed. So in the meantime, 3 weeks, 1 week haven't been passed. What do you folks do? Those who are looking for compensation, those who are entitled to compensation, those who have to continue their lives and continue their education, continue to have a life, this is what you have to do. You have to serve the statutory notice I talked about. The 30-day notice of claim, notice of intent to sue the government. Very simple one-page document. That has to be done. Obtain estate representatives or limited grants, meaning that you move to the court, the person has died, and you want to stand in their shoes to bring the lawsuit on their behalf, or on behalf of the estate of that person, or as a representative capacity. You call that estate representative, a limited grant, a guardian, or someone who has the authority to proceed on behalf of that deceased person concerning the damages that was due to them, the loss of pay, the pain and suffering, the exemplary damages, the punitive damages, the negligence, and whatever they have lost. You also have to file a missing person declaration application. You go to the Registrar General, ask for a missing person declaration, or the police station. They might not know about it, but as police legal advisor, we used to have those in our file. And you fill that out. That Tom Jones or John Jones has been missing and suspected to be killed or boarded the MV Barima and is no longer alive or did not return home or is presumed dead or is thought to be dead or is feared to have drowned. Feared to have drowned with MV Barima tragedy. So you secure and preserve evidence at the same time as you go about doing these things. Perhaps you have to show that the person was working, they had a good job, they were working for X amount of dollars, you multiply it by the years, plus the promotion they would have gotten, you'll be entitled, with very good lawyering and very proper, skillful negotiation, that this money is entitled to this deceased person. Not as a handout, but as a right legally entitled under the law. That is what you can establish. You're not begging anybody for anything here. This happened, it's sad, it's tragic, but it must be made whole. Also, there would be naval architects and marine engineers. Well, I will also ask you to keep this person as a chief witness, like I said. The wreck is exhibit number A. The captain's statement is exhibit number B. His Facebook post, preserve that, get a statement from him if you have to hire him as an expert witness. Andrew Daniel, exhibit number B, exhibit number 2. Andrew Daniel, the captain of the MV Barima for 12 years. He served as captain with the Transport and Harbors Department for 12 years. And he commanded the MV Barima, so he knows about the situations there, the conditions under which, the danger, the mishaps. Like he said, it was a floating disaster waiting to occur. He is a very important person in all of this to prove this case. He must be subpoenaed on your case, or you have him on your list. You get a statement from him, you prepare him, and you have him as your expert witness or as a witness who is very, very important in this case. Everyone who wants to see justice be done. Also, when that is done, you also would get these permission from the court to stand in place of those and in the interest of those who have died, to bring that. And now you also must institute your lawsuit within the 3 years, the statute of limitations. I would bring it as early as possible, within 6 months to a year, so the government is then forced to negotiate with you. The government is forced to come to the table where you put the government on notice that I intend to sue for the lost lives. It's a valid lawsuit. It's a legitimate claim. It's a claim which cannot be, shoved under the rug. It's not a claim that we can say, oh, they don't matter, lives don't matter. It is a claim that has to be given full accountability and full attention. And brothers and sisters, that is something that has to be done. So these are all things that that have to be complied with. And somebody's asking me, Trisha X, how can they charge those guys for murder, charge them for negligence, not murder? Well, Trisha X, negligence is not a criminal charge per se. But I hear what you're saying. Murder requires the intent. As we say in Latin, actus non facit reum nisi mens sit rea. That is Latin, meaning that the intent and the act must concur for there to be a criminal offense. You must have the mental intent. And murder is not a fly-by-night statute. Murder is one of the most serious offenses after treason in Guyana. And murder therefore requires malice aforethought, meaning that you must have the mental intent. That is why some people plead insanity. I am mad. I couldn't form the intent to do this act. That's a complete defense in law. Insanity. Now, they're not saying there's insanity there, and I don't agree with the murder charges for the captain. We have charged, I was a prosecutor in Guyana. I've done some of the worst cases. 3 times they tried to take my life. 3 times they tried to kill me. I was just 25 years old. God saved me to come and give this forecast so many decades after. I still remember the worst cases in Guyana were sent to this young prosecutor. They're in the law reports. Alvin Mitchell, Donald Alder, Robinson, the gangs, the kick down the door bandits, the robbers, the choke and rob, the police who were taking bribes, the people who were assaulting people, the pirates, the masqueraders, the marauders, the murderers, the treasonous. I did those cases, yes. I was just 25 years old, and I became a top state prosecutor. And they still tell me up today I was the best. And I'm proud to say that, because I felt it in my heart as I prosecuted those cases that I was doing the right thing. And I got rid of criminals, yes. And I didn't have a scholarship. My father sent me to do law. But I gave my best years to the government of Guyana at that time. That was under the Burnham government. They treated me fairly. They promoted me. They gave me political advisor. I was lectured to the police. They gave me firearm. Yes. That didn't help me with the 3 attempts on my life, thank God. But I served my country in the highest capacity. Like a soldier who died today, Angela Rampersaud, I can also say I served my country, Guyana, with the best 5 years of my youthful life, just out of law school. Went up against the best lawyers. Dude Not Singh, Rex McKay, Bernardi Santos, Donald Robinson, Stanley Moore, Stanley Hardial. You name them. I went up against them and held my own. Lionel Lucku. All of them I prosecuted the case against and won. Yes. And I'm proud to say that. And I was just 25 years old. That is part of the satisfaction I got professionally of having risen to those levels of competence and of ambition. Yes, I am an ambitious person. I went to Queen's College. I wouldn't say no to that. I am a proud, ambitious person. I was the first elected person over here coming from Guyanese at Middle Guyana, a part of America. So I've taken my ambition with me very seriously, and I have no regrets. Sure, I've been kicked. Sure, I've been put down. Sure, I was targeted. Sure, I got bogus charges against me. Sure, I overcome them. Sure, I jumped back on my feet. Sure, I lived up to what it means to the greatest of a person lies not in when he's kicked down and out, but how he can stand up and fight and resurrect himself. Sure, I went through that. Of course, I'm living testimony of that. And of course, I'm proud of it. That I rose against adversity. That I broke glass ceilings. You can't take that from me. That is part of history. Good and bad. fair and square. I'm feared as a fighter. I'm revered as a fighter. And sometimes I'm hated. Yes. All that comes with the terrain. The issue is that you've got to live and look yourself in the face. If you look at yourself in the face every morning and you're happy with what you see, you don't have to bother with anybody else. Let me repeat that. If when you look yourself in the face, as I am looking right now into this camera, and you are proud of who you see, you don't have to bother with anybody else. That's my story. I can give a rat's whatever about anybody else. As long as within your heart and soul, you're happy with who you see, and you're satisfied that you did your best, and that you helped others who are in a worse position than yourself, you must be proud of who you are. And I am that person. But coming back to what I was saying, when I did those cases, I gave my best years, and I wasn't on a government scholarship. My father, Harry BALDEO from Riceless, as a hire car driver, sent me to law school. He spent his last dollar on my education. And I gave my best 5 years to the government as a lowly paid prosecutor. I gave them that. I was paid, yes. I was paid chicken feet to other lawyers. Because you're a government lawyer. Like police officers and teachers and nurses, you don't get the full pay. I couldn't care about money, less about money. I cared about justice. I cared about justice. And I went for justice. I served justice. I went after criminals. I put them away. I cleaned up society. I cleaned up the kick down the door bandits. When I left Guyana, I went into private practice when I left that job. And I began to earn money much more than I could ever dream of. Because the skills and the sacrifice, they don't just go away from you. Many lawyers told me that as long as you practice law and fight for people the way you fight for the state, there ain't got nobody gonna beat you. There ain't got nobody gonna stand up with you. And so said, so done. I gave it my best. And people threw money at me. And all the way out, and thank God, that's another life story. God has always been good to me. And I've always been good to myself in terms of pushing myself to the limits. Pushing yourself for justice. Not looking for money. I don't get paid to do this. I don't get paid as a district leader. I'm not looking for money. My district leadership doesn't come with money. I don't get paid for it. I do it free, of course. But do we think money can buy power? Money can buy power. As a community leader, what I can do for my community, I cannot do as a lawyer. When I fight for Guyana against Venezuela's incursions, and I go to the Congresspeople and the Black Caucus and the Secretary of State and call up Mr. Pompeo or Mr. Marco Rubio or President Trump or President Biden, whosoever may be at that stage, you may not get to speak to them personally, but you got to speak to their staff, and then it filters up. That's how politics in America work. Sometimes you may get a Secretary of State and you may bump into him at some function, and you're happy to at least try to get your message in that Guyana is under attack. I have done that for Guyana over the past 10 years. I have done that. And whenever the president speaks to a congressman, they tell me, oh, I spoke to your president, President Ali, yesterday, and so on. They tell us. And I'm happy to say yes. I'm happy that you listen to our president about Venezuela, because Venezuela doesn't need to do that. We spoke to Barra Jaglio about Guyana's situation, and we're happy to hear that. We spoke to David Grange about it yesterday, about that. I'm not talking about yesterday, God. I'm talking when they were presidents. You've got to get people here who are American citizens and constituents of the American government to represent your country. That is how you get a direct link, and that is how I understood international law, and how I understand diplomacy, and how I understand how to fight, and how I understand that putting money in my pocket as the lawyer, how much you going to take up there? How much you going to take when you already got enough to help your brother and sister? That is what drives me, and that is what guides me. And I'm not scared or feel hypocritical telling you that. I proudly tell you that. Yes, that's what I do. I don't need to be here at 11:30 at night, 11:44 near midnight talking to you folks. I don't owe anybody anything. Nobody sent me to study law. Nobody's helped me pass the bar exam, the most difficult exam in America. My parents I owe. That's all. I don't owe anybody else. Clients, I've done their cases. Have I won all the cases? No. Have I won 99%? Yes. There's 1% who came in with fake documents, backtrack work, illegally kill people, commit crimes and want a lawyer to don't tell you the facts of their case, and sometimes their own cases when they come and take free money over here and commit crimes and make paperwork and make fraud case. You're the lawyer, you're not going to win those cases. But none of them was ever deported. But 99.5% got through. Will they ever say thanks? God in heaven knows. A lot of Guyanese are the chief architects of ingratitude. They are known to wash their mouth on people that help them. Don't tell me that. I know. I've seen them. I've seen them in the restaurants and the rum shops. Talking how BALDEO help them and BALDEO do this to them and BALDEO that and BALDEO that. And then BALDEO bad. It is part of our DNA. We got a sick set of people called crabs in Guyana. You have the crab mentality, grow out of it. You have the colonial mentality, grow out of it. You have a tendency to hate each other. You have a tendency to bring each other down. You have a tendency to criticize. You have a tendency to wash your mouth on people you can't even shine the shoes. You got a tendency to badmouth people you own, but you dare not say anything about somebody else. You have a tendency to suck up like a house slave. To suck up to the master, the white master. You have a tendency to give away your country to the white corporate Exxons and the transnational companies. Don't give that to me. I've seen it. I've seen how you guys, you would prefer to take fried rice and sell your country out for 2%. Or pay for your wedding. You would sell your soul and sell the people of Guyana down the river for your little scrappy wedding. Your disgraceful unions. My brothers and sisters, that's a shame and a disgrace. But don't come to tell me that. I've been sent for a purpose in this world and I stand proudly on that. And I fear no one and I fight everyone who is wrong. You could be high or low. You could be who. I'm there for the fight. I'm there for the underdog. First thing that comes up is that our BALDEO did this and BALDEO did that, but BALDEO stands up for the underdog. Put it in context. Don't be thinking, most of the great men have always been attacked, put down. Mahatma Gandhi, and I'm not saying I'm these people. I'm just telling you this is a life history. And I may be a minute person of them, but at least this is what has happened in my life. You got Gandhi, you have Martin Luther King, you have Cherry Jagan, you have Benazir Bhutto. They were either assassinated, sent to jail, or wiped out. That is the curse, or that is the road that greatness calls you to do. And that is the price you pay. People don't talk about the lawyers who drive Mercedes-Benz and then give a rat's tail about whosoever live or die, as long as they make the money. How many of them you see would come and give you free advice for free and talk about these issues and talk controversial issues and talk to a president or talk to an opposition leader or talk to a thug or talk to a politician without fear like I can? How many? Call the name. Call the name. Give me a name. Give me a name of a lawyer who does that. Or who has done that. I'm waiting. Who, you? Who? Your brother, your mother, your father? Give me a name. Who has stood up and fought without being paid? Who has fought the battles and forget and forgive or regardless of money? Who has put their neck on the block for you without being paid? Talk is cheap, my friends. Talk is cheap. Honor those who fight for you, because such is very rare. The Gandhis, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Cherry Jagans, the Basjo Pandays, the Hubert Nathaniel Pritchelows, the Yusuf Kwayanas, those are the champions. The Moses Bhagwan recently wrote a book. He may not be in the same category and I may not be in the same category of them, but you must have that respect. That is owed because of the fights that they have brought on your behalf. Many of you who can only put your tail behind your legs and run. Many of you who don't have the kahunas to stand up to anybody. Many of you will not even stand up and fight. Many of you want others to go and vote for you. Yes, vote for you. That's the worst you can tell. You know why? Because you want money, you want duck curry, you want somebody pay you for going to vote. Shame on you. People like that must hang their head in shame that somebody got to force you to vote or beg you to vote or quarrel with you to vote or tell you about your civic rights and responsibilities. And when the shit hits the fan and you are on your neck is on the block, then you say, oh, help me, God. Help me, BALDEO, help me. What me say about you, me regret. My brothers and sisters, that's kind of ingratitude and crap, dog and foolery. You have to stop it. God is giving Guyana a chance to greatness. Change comes and reform from within you. What I see happening, you're not changing fast enough. You're running for the scraps. You're running for bad mouth each other. You're running to pull each other down. You're seeing a smaller picture. You're running away with us. You're giving away your country to Exxon and these places and to expatriates and foreigners. And the real Guyanese man who suffered all those years as indentured servants and slaves, they are not reaping the benefit. They are being cut out. Like you don't want to be the superstar. Like you don't want to achieve stardom. You want to be the star boy. You want to continue to be the bridesmaid. You want to be bridesmaid. You don't want to be the bride. You don't want to be the bridegroom. Well, you must access power. Guyana belongs to Guyanese. It don't belong to Americans or English or Canadian or French or Australian or whosoever I see. Why hasn't Exxon brought up that ship up to now? Why hasn't Exxon from its own conscience brought up that ship from the bottom of the ocean? Why hasn't it volunteered? Maybe we got to ask you. We got to tell you. We got to threaten you. We had a president in Forbes morning with telling me I'm going to naturalize you. I am going to what's the term? Nationalize you. Like how we did with Dam and all those places. I'm not saying it was right. I'm not a fan of Forbes Burnham. But I'm telling you there's a sovereignty theory and a territorial integrity that Guyana is a sovereign territorial country that belongs to Guyanese and does not the exclusion of all others. White, green and who's? Americans, English, Canadians, Australians, you come second in Guyana. And understand that. And if you don't understand that, I will make you understand. Guyana is not a place we could go like Nigeria and run roughshod people and take away what we got. Rape us. That's not how its democracy works. Who can come in your country and do that? And don't tell me you don't do that to others. I've been in your country, I've seen it. I've seen the advantage. I've been a victim of your double standards and injustice. So come and talk to me. You're talking to the wrong man. I've seen it and experienced it firsthand, so I know. So if you're going to come to Guyana, I got to beg you to bring up that, and I got to kiss your tuchus for you to bring up that ship. That is not how we're going to play this game. That is not how you're going to take 98% of my profits, and you can't even bring a ship load, an abandoned wreck from the ocean floor for me to bring closure, for me to verify the passengers, for me to conduct how many people died, for me to compensate these people. I got to beg you. I have to ask you. Nothing on that. No word. Not even for your higher functionaries here of helping us. All you're saying, we're concerned about American companies and their welfare in my country. Sure you are, because you're getting 98%. But you're a guest. You don't own Guyana. You don't have any legitimate reasons to be here apart from your contractual licenses and permits. And we honored them. We give you 98%. What more do you want? You want to make us the 51st state? You want to make us a colony? You want to recolonize us? Are you out of your mind? It doesn't work that way, people. The same thing you want for yourself in America, UK, Canada, Australia, the same thing we want for ourselves in Guyana. And that is what the United Nations is about. That is what international law prescribes. That is what international law governs. And that is mandated by international law that whether you be so high or so big or so mighty, we are independent, equal countries of equal standing and equal sovereignty. So I hope those who are guests of the Guyanese government and guests in our country and high-level diplomatic functionaries understand what time it is. You are our guests. You don't own a part of Guyana. You don't determine process. You don't determine policy. You can certainly advise. I will listen to your advice, but draw the line. Draw your line and don't cross that line, because I am a sovereign country. I'm a country protected by international laws and boundaries. And I'm independent. I've gotten independence, and I have territorial integrity and sovereignty. And you put that in your pipe and smoke it. And don't let's go down that road and have me remove you from the State Department. And if you think that you're a petty god over there, or you can make policy for my country, forget about it. Forget about it. Park it somewhere. Park it before you enter Guyana. Because Guyana is for Guyanese. Guyana is a sovereign country. It's not a possession or a territory of any other country. I don't care how you carry yourself or what pronouncement you make or what you advertise with. Know your place. Understand what it is. People are looking. And people have the ability to move personnel who don't understand their limits in Guyana. Because America, in the fullness of its democracy, will not tolerate your intrusion or your getting involved in other people's business. And hence, I will tell you what Guyanese tell each other. Mind your own business. Mind your own business. Keep out of Guyana's affairs. Decisions have to be made by Guyanese and by the people who elected them. Of course, we will listen to you. Of course, we will have functions with you. Yes, we will tolerate you and we will treat you with the dignity that you afford us collaterally when we send our ambassadors to your soil also and our representatives. Sure, we appreciate your help. But don't you dare put us behind you. Don't you consider us slaves. Don't you consider us to be protectorates or dependents or colonies. Colonies, that's the term. So in the fullness of all of this, Guyana has got to be able to project. And this is where I think Guyanese politicians have failed. They're always sucking up to somebody. The Commission of Inquiry got 5 people, none of which is Guyanese. You didn't even consult with the opposition leader. You didn't even consult with the other Guyanese people. If it was just a phone call under the guise of a representation or a discussion. You know how Burnham and Jagan used to do it? When the law said that Burnham had to consult with Jagan on certain appointments. You know how Burnham used to do it? Where the people say Burnham is a dictator and all that. Burnham was a lawyer like me, he always did it. He would call up Cherry and say, I just want to let you know, comrade, that are considering X, Y, and Z to be these judges or whatever. I am just telling you, I'm considering it. I'm consulting with you. Thank you, sir. Let's go and have a drink of coconut water and some cognac at the farm or the wherever, Melanie Damashana. Oh my God, son Joey, how you doing? All right? Good, good. All right, Cherry, I'll consult with you. You're here, and talk to you later. You can't say Burnham didn't consult. So why in heaven's name there's no record of a consultation? Even if it, and I'm not saying that should be the level. I'm mocking that sort of exchange. I'm mocking it. I'm showing you how the small credence is just a token. It's like Gary Sobel's take a tuk-tuk. He used to tell them boys, you know, tell Clive Lloyd, take a tuk-tuk. It's a little tuk-tuk. Take a little tuk-tuk. He call up Cherry and tell he consult, but nobody can say, well, Burnham didn't consult. You couldn't accuse Burnham of not complying with the Constitution. So I'm saying by the same token, although I would respectfully ask for more, that you convene Guyanese on the commission, that you convene people who know about this MV Barima. For example, in that commission, you should probably have this guy on the commission. This captain who was there 12 years. This Andrew Donnell. Andrew Donnell, you should have consulted and put it for the commission. Put a broad-based commission. If you got to put 15 people, put Andrew Donnell down there. Put some other people who used to work on that ship. Put some people from the opposition party. Put somebody from WIN. Put people from WIN. Put people from the PNC. Put people from APNU. Put them all together Let it look good. Let them talk and decide. Because it's only the country can benefit. What are they going to come up with to overthrow you? Then they're going to make a decision beyond the terms of reference. The terms of reference, we already know the place was overloaded. They had a life jacket. You're not a proper engine. You're not a proper responder. You're not an anchor. What are you going to come up with? It's the same thing they're going to come up with, but you're going to wait until that is done to implement reforms. You need to reform implements now. This is a first step. I don't want us to be the only one, President Ali. You said establish safety and compliance audit, and I compliment you on that. But you now got to put rigid reforms. Air, water, and sea right away. Don't wait on commission. Don't wait on 5 people to come here and tell us when they're going to do when you don't know when their commission can come about. We can't depend on them there. Them is who? They don't know Guyana. Them know they ever been a Parika. They ever been like with the Port Kaituma. They ever go in speedboat. They how dangerous it is to hold court in Bartica. They ever fly in a small Pampuri plane that shake out of the sky and nearly kill me one time. They ever fly the aircraft that went down with the most experienced Captain George Gronsalt. Do you know if these people ever had a boat? Do you know if they ever know anything about swimming? Do you know if they know anything about how a boat is worked? Do you know if they ever wore a life jacket and went on a boat? What kind of experts are come to tell us in Guyana what we need, what we already know? That we got to pull off all these vehicles that are not seaworthy and put new ones. That you got to finish our war by next month. Finish the war for the militia and bring militia 2 and 3 and replace all these ships. You got to bring militia 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and take all these unseaworthy vessels off the damn sea. Or more lives going to be lost. People will die. And if you think you're going to be elected with that kind of record and you're going to blame somebody for defeating you, my brother Ali, you got a long time coming. Think carefully. You can't have any more mistakes like this. You can't even have more mishaps. You can't make this into a spectacle. You can't make this into a joke story. You can't make this into a Nancy clownish story. You are taken to the limit right now. You have to overcome the issues that are confronting your presidency and your leadership. You got to take on the mantle of leadership. You got to fire some of these people. You got to send a message, I ain't going to take this anymore. You got to send a message that, listen, people watching me too, what me got. And how me get them and so on to me got to conquer that. And how me got tolerate ideas, you know, and me can't, you know. I am being criticized also for having slack people like you in my ministries. People who can't talk to people and quarreling with them and cursing them out. And people picking in the home left, right, and center and don't know how to respond. Man who pretend them to save people's soul and wear cross around the neck and them are the biggest cross they got. They those who speak to other people like they're dogs. People who think they're so much above Guyanese. Wherever they come from, I don't know. Where they used to live before or wherever it is. Whether they're what kind of, you know, celebrity. Like Rabbi Washington came to Guyana and he was what? Rabbi. Old thief men come to Guyana and old criminals, and I'm not calling names, and come and said, oh, I was a this and James Jones. James Jones came to Guyana and said I was a this in America and he was a criminal. Rabbi Washington, he said he come from America and he was a this and a that. And he turned out to be a thug and a villain. Just you're going to have other people come and said I was a bishop or I was an archbishop or I was a pope of so and so. And me come a Guyana now to spread the red carpet before me. It doesn't work that way. I want to see what you did. I want to visit what you've done. I want to go where you've been. You had your village and when Nigeria? Okay, let me go Nigeria. I can't have you as a minister and I don't know who you are. You don't have no track record. You are not like Albert Bali got in name in law reports and prosecute the worst criminals. He got a record. He got it there in some law reports. I'm just citing my name to show where my record is. But you just can't jump into Guyana and come in there and then you said, okay, everybody bow down before me. I'm the Lord and Master of all. And then when you talk to people, you treat them like dog. The Guyanese people, you talk down to them like they're animals. And you try to pull yourself out. The first thing you need to get is get insurance for all the state vehicles. Guyana has money, use the money, get on the right state vehicle. Because if this boat had insurance, You want to be in this quagmire, and nobody will be coming and say, oh, left the boat, let me cover up this, let me hide this by, let me do this, let me run here by. The car, the insurance company would have paid. The insurance company would have covered the risk, and it would have paid and covered it. That is what you have to do. You can't be playing this game of hide and seek and casting blame to other people when you have insurance that covers the salvaging of such vessel, the operation, the operational loss, the fire, drowning, the destruction of these vehicles are all covered by insurance. Whether it's from America, or whether it's from London, Lloyd's of London, Maritime Insurance, how you think other boats sail? Other boats around the world are covered by insurance, even in the Caribbean. Why we in Guyana so backward and pretend to be stupid that we can't get insurance? Why we can't use the money we get it from the oil, albeit we get it, we should get more. Everybody said they're going to fight for that, nobody fight for it. And take that for granted. Why can't we use at least some of the money that goes into the treasury, consolidated fund, or what kind of fund you call it, to pay for insurance, to cover the risks of life and what is lost at sea? We must get those must be covered. Those must come in. Every vessel must be underwritten on or before next month. Every maritime vessel that's owned by the government, that carries passengers, all the ferries, must be underwritten by insurance by the end of next month. That is our challenge and our call to you, ministers and the cabinet. You have to procure insurance. I see a lot of you guys come over here a lot. You're coming to the land of business, the Wall Street. You need to come with intelligence. You have embassies over here. You have representatives. You have people you could call upon. Get a quote for me to insure the MV, whatever you name. Malaysia, for example. Does Malaysia has insurance? You mean you haven't procured insurance yet for Malaysia? You got to build a dock it there, and get insurance for MV Malaysia. Not because you think it's brand new and it can't sink. No, you can't put it in the water just by itself. You have to have insurance. You have to have enough life jackets. You have to get weights. You have to know the maximum capacity. You have to have people that are liable criminally if they overload that Malisa. If anybody want to carry their personal roller in there and their belongings and a generator and heavy equipment, no. Whether you're a minister or who the hell you be, you can't do that. That is not allowed. The captain, under criminal and civil sanctions, must be the person liable. And then another person over here, and another person over here, going right up to the minister, must sign off. They must sign off responsibility. So it's not like what happened here now, as this captain told us, who was here 12 years. He was made a scapegoat. The days of scapegoat are over. The days of accountability are now legion. You must have certification. You must have responsibility. You must have allocation and accountability. This is not something that can be covered under the rug, as I've told you. You need to have it flushed out, and it must be carried out. I will continue this dialogue. I'm sorry if others did not get to join me. We did not have a good connection tonight. Also, I do not think that we did justice to the Facebook. I tried to do it on YouTube, but we will get better as we get to this. I am thankful for your audience. I hope that I have shed some light. I hope that I have spoken on your behalf. I hope that you have understood that I don't get paid for this. I hope that you understand that I'm not trying to create rife and strife in Guyana. I'm hoping that you understand that I hold no brief for any political party or politician in Guyana. That I consider everyone fellow Guyanese and a friend, whether it be President Irfanali, Bharat Jagdeo, Anil Nandalal, Win people, Mohammed, the APNU folks. As a matter of fact, the leader of the opposition went to bishops with me. It was a few years under me. I have to come and enjoy some chicken at this place. But that's not a compromise. That is just people who have had the distinction of going to Bishop's High School, exchanging and passing on old memories. But I'm telling you now that I speak solely as an American Guyanese concerned about the welfare of Guyana. I grew up in Guyana, was very poor. I grew up in Guyana, was always ridiculed. I grew up and I traveled and left Guyana and was ridiculed, humiliated, and criticized, disrespected in the world because of who I was, because I was Guyanese. I had to buy those things. I had to overcome those disadvantages. They still exist today, the barriers that put you down. See that man in the back there, Barack Obama? Over there? Barack. That's the one there, Barack Obama. He broke the glass ceilings. He was black. He was a minority. He's a historical figure. Martin Luther King. He started the civil rights movement. He made us free. Nelson Mandela is the next person over there. See that man there, that handsome man? At the end, that's Nelson Mandela. See the man just behind me? It's Cherry Jagan and Mahatma Gandhi. Cherry Jagan and Mahatma Gandhi. And the two flags where I owe my allegiance to. Guyana and America. Brothers and sisters, it's from the bottom of my heart. None of you are not more Guyanese than me. None of you care about Guyana or patriotic more than me. And take it as good advice. Take it as someone who's concerned to see my country develop and become a great country. Achieve and embrace the greatness it deserves. The greatness that excluded us, eluded us from so long. The greatness that is part and parcel of being a Guyanese, and which was held back from us since we were colonies. And in closing, I want to pay a special tribute to a sportsman hero, an idol that we grew up loving, Sir Garfield Sobers. I want to pay a special tribute to Garfield Sobers, who died and was buried just recently. I think it was yesterday. But whose life came to an end. But whose greatness will live on. Whose records will continue to astound the world and be the yardstick on which other cricketers are measured. The man at the pinnacle of the cricket top. The man who could do anything on a cricket field. The man who liberated us and made us proud to say we are from the Caribbean. The one and only Sir Garfield St. Auburn Sobers, a childhood hero who inspired us to greatness, who inspired us to be the best we can be in whatever we do, do it with such flair and panache that people will only sit in awe of the gifts that God gave us, which we dared to perfect beyond perfection. And to Sir Garfield Sobers, I say good night, sir, and thank you very much for a wonderful life and a great example you have set. And with that now, we will close and we'll come back to you another day with some more news and some more comments. But for now, file the notice or intent to claim on the Guyana government, the Attorney General, the Transport and Harbors Department, MARAD, and the Ministries of Works and Transport to ensure that those who have suffered losses, that their rights and their entitlements are preserved, or you can lose them. And the days of the calabash, where you go around begging, is not something that you must relegate yourself to in the face of such grievous and touching losses. We must do better than this. And with that, I salute you and I ask you to stay well, and may God bless you all. Good night, and may you strive, and may our country strive from strength to strength. May we lift up Guyana, and may we be better citizens in all that we aspire to do. God bless you, and good night.